Taylor, so excited to talk to you today. Mr. Dude Dad himself, what is up?
Oh man, I'm just over here living the dream.
That's what's
Uh,
up.
yeah, I've got about 45 minutes until my kids get home and the decibels go up in this house. Um, but it's good. I'm making Indian tacos tonight.
Hey, right on. If I lived in the neighborhood, I would definitely stop on by. Unfortunately, I'm over here on the East Coast in Florida. You're over there on the West Coast in California,
That's right.
which I got to be honest, I haven't been to. I'm definitely looking forward to it one day. And when I do, it'll hopefully be on taco night. We'll see.
Yeah, just imagine Florida without the humidity or the crocodiles.
Well, it's
Or
kind of nice having crocodiles around because we can just ride alligators to work. We don't even drive cars, actually. So the emission levels are
really,
very
that
low.
makes total sense.
Yeah, the mortality rate for small dogs is very high, but the emissions are very low. That's, that's
That's
how it
fine
goes.
with me.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm really excited to interview you and chat with you tonight. I really love what you're doing for the dad community
Thank
with your
you.
online videos.
Thank
They're
you.
just, quite frankly, there's a lot of channels out there for dads that are either just kind of like cheap memes or copy
Hmm.
and paste from other sites. But what you're doing is super original. It's got a lot of heart behind it that I can feel when I watch the videos. And so I'm just excited to get into it, talk to you, and get some feedback from you on
Yeah,
that
man.
process.
Absolutely.
So I'd like to start with a little bit of your background. So you're living in
Sure.
California now. Tell me, how did you get there? What got you into this
Ooh.
dude dad movement?
Okay. All right. So the I'm trying to get into my zone because I tell this story constantly. But I'm originally from South Dakota, middle of nowhere, rural South Dakota. Like just think like just the sprawling prairie with cattle and corn, and my family's just plucked down in the middle of that. So grew up, in the country and went to college for theater. But I really wanted to do film, not theater. But that's all. There's no film programs in South Dakota. But then I got a 1 semester program through that school to come out and to Hollywood to do like a 1 semester program here in the film industry, and kind of like got my feet wet. Met a bunch of people, realized that it was like a real place that I could really move to. Um, and then after college, I just said, "Let's do it." And I packed up my bags. I had a red Honda Civic, and I put everything I own like inside and on top of that car. Like I had a roof rack, and it had like a bike and a snowboard and a giant bag on top of it, and like I got everything in there, plus my girlfriend, now wife, and another friend. So three of us got in that car with all my stuff, drove out to California, and they dropped me off and left.
Nice. So you were
Yeah.
able to convince your girlfriend to make the trip out with you. That is definitely
Uh,
could be a hard sell, I would think.
Not
But I
for a
guess
year. Yeah. She just came out to like, see me off, but then she moved back home for another year. Um, and then and made the trip after that. So we
great.
did a year long distance, which was like very trying, but like I think it sort of like gave us each the room to sort of like grow and figure out who we were individually and grow as individuals. And then to be able to come together after that, I think that was great for us to like. I needed like some me time when I first moved out here to get my groundings and figure out what I was doing, and she was doing a whole bunch of stuff back home too. So
Sure. So you
yeah.
took the leap, drive out to California. At that time, I'd imagine you had no intention on having kids. There were no children or
Not
fatherhood on your
soon.
radar.
No, no. I came 5 years later from then, I think, something like that. Yeah, like yeah.
Gotcha. So you moved to Cali, you're rocking it. You start getting into from what I understand, you got into commercials, TV shows. How did
Uh-huh.
you how did you break into the media scene? Because that seems like a pretty daunting task, I think, for a lot of
Man,
people.
oh my gosh, it's extremely competitive. But like I had a lot of like blind ignorance going into it, which is exactly what you need. You just need like a bowl full of courage and like the willpower and no like statistic. was gonna like turn you down of like, oh, I know it's 1 in a million, I'm the one, you know, and you just like just this blind faith. But that's what you need, is that confidence to just kind of blow through those doors. I mean, honestly, like I've been here 10 years now. I've learned so much in the last 10 years about like how this industry works and what's important and what's not. And like, but I mean, just getting into it, I just, you know, like would just try to get every single audition I could, try to find an agent. I got an agent pretty quickly. You know, like it took a while though to like finally like start booking decent roles on things and stuff. And even then it's few and far between. So, but I ended up finding some success on Jimmy Kimmel Live. They do a lot of sketches on that show, and I sort of got on the in team there for a while. And they were calling me up pretty often, so I ended up getting to be on that show like 10 times, which was a lot of fun. My favorite sketch I did on that show is with Anthony Anderson. It's called the Brother App. Go check it out. Go Google Brother App, and brother spelt like BROTHR. It's like Tinder, except it's for white guys to meet black guys.
Nice.
It's really funny. Anthony Anderson wrote the whole thing. It's just really funny.
I'm definitely have to check it out. So you were actually in the sketches, because right now you're also in the sketches, but you're doing all the videography and editing and whatnot. So you were actually in the sketches there too.
It was
So
just talent in the sketches. I wasn't writing them or anything. I was just talent in them. Yeah.
so did you take those skills and techniques that you learned from being on television and apply that? Is that how you started Dude Dad? What?
I mean, kind of. Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like, I started Dude Dad sort of like out of a, like, once my wife got pregnant, it was like, oh man, like this roller coaster lifestyle that is the acting industry. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to sustain a family like that, or like, you know, sustain a family like 1 month and then not the next month, you know? So I started Dude Dad as a way to stay creative while being a dad, because I knew like if we have to like move out of the city or anything like that, I would still have this outlet, you know. And I saw people starting to have a lot of success on YouTube and things like that. And there was a lot of mommy bloggers out there, but no daddy vloggers or bloggers. Like nobody was making dad content. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna fill that void. And I made that decision before I was even a dad. Like Dude Dad started 3 weeks before my son was born. So like I launched into this. So literally my entire fatherhood has been you know, I've been doing Dude Dad. So I mean, like, yeah, every single part of what I've like of my fatherhood is like, oh, there's my wife, is in the Dude Dad episodes. Not everything, but like the entire 3 years, 3.5 years.
One of the cool things about vlogging and kind of documenting your life and your journey through whatever it is, in this case, fatherhood, is that you end up kind of creating a record for posterity. So your kids, your grandkids, your great grandkids, their great grandkids, they're all going to be able to look back and they're going to be able to see what you're doing. They're going to be able to see what their ancestors were doing. Gary Vee has this kind of theory that we are the patriarchs and matriarchs of our family. We're establishing it right here because it's all on video. So I think that's a really cool thing to do. Do your kids, they enjoy getting in the videos? I mean, it's 3 years old.
Yeah. No, it's so, I mean, I've sort of had like a learning curve, you know, obviously like as a dad, you know, that like every single day they change, you know, because like originally when I started Dude Dad, I was like, oh man, like how am I going to come up with new content every week? Eventually I'm going to run out of ideas. And then like, then they do something else and you're like, oh my gosh, like every single week there's something new that's happening. And like and just when like you think you have them figured out, they completely 180 and start doing something completely different. So there's always new content. I forgot what the question was. What was the question again? I forgot what I was
Well,
doing with that.
no, you're going in a great direction, but the question was more so about your kids and their involvement. Do they like
Yes,
being
yes.
involved?
Okay. So, as babies, they were really easy to work with because it was like, oh, here's a baby. I set the baby here. I can shoot the baby there, right? And then slowly, as they started moving and crawling more and stuff, I mean, it was still they're pretty manageable. It was like as long as they're in a good mood, we're good, right? Then now my son has become very aware of when he's being filmed, which like so now his new thing is that when he knows I'm filming, he just screams. Like he just yells. It'll just be
Nice.
like little yelps constantly. So I'll be like, so what we're gonna do? Yep. What are we gonna yep. Just like so like it's become very difficult to have them in videos sometimes. Like I just have to just like, like the whole shoot, as soon as you involve the kids, isn't about like, oh, how do we get this really cool shot? How do we make this perfect? It's okay, what can we do to show what we're trying to do with whatever he's already doing? Because like getting, you can like try to like get him to, look a certain way, or like, oh, hey, stomp your foot, and like you might get it, you might not. So you just kind of like have to wing it. But it's kind of the cool, like the part of the like the art of it is like, like the creativity comes out of all of these restrictions, so that you like sort of have to find the gold within that, within like your limited uh possibilities.
I'm 100% empathetic. I've started putting videos together with my daughter, and not only does she do that kind of like that yipe thing where she gets excited, she
Uh-huh.
doesn't really wait for her cue. Which I got to be honest, I've got a tremendous amount of respect for Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. Wow, dealing with
Yeah.
actors and actresses, holy cow! But I think that all dads, regardless of their situation, can be empathetic to trying to get a young child to do what you want them to do, because
Hmm.
it seems like they're completely motivated to do the opposite of what you want to do.
Yeah.
It's probably the biggest challenge that I've had in fatherhood. Is it can
Oh,
be
for
really
sure.
frustrating because you ask them to do it and they're like, "You've only asked once. I bet I can push this to 10 times
Yeah.
before Dad gets upset."
Yeah. And it's like they um even if you like, even if I think we get stuck in this pattern of like, because they've listened to us before, we automatically like expect them to listen the next time. But like we sort of forget that they're still very, very young, and that's still not something that's really in the realm of possibility for them to be able to listen every single time, because their brain isn't developed enough to do that. So we have to continue to be persistent, because the more consistent we are, the easier it is for them to learn and like thrive within our consistency. But it's really frustrating because we think, oh, like, you know, I got him to eat his food last night by telling him, that like if he won't get a snack, and so he's going to do that again tonight, but he won't. Not always.
Yeah, toddlers are extremely peculiar. There's some days where my daughter will eat everything in sight, and the next day I have to like fight with her to eat a slice of pizza.
Yeah,
It's like,
I
you
have
love
that. I'm
pizza.
like, I have to fight him to eat like the most delicious things. I'm like, dude, like, am I really fighting you to eat a hot dog right now? like,
Right.
like I'm having a fight to get him to eat like this moderately, like, I mean, it's a tasty, but like, it's not even like healthy food. Like, this isn't broccoli. I'm not making you eat green beans here.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. So over the years, I would assume that your content has gotten better, that you've gotten better. What would you say are some points in this process for you in building the Dude Dad video log blog? How's that process looked over the last, what, 4 or 5 years? How has it evolved? How have you grown?
Sure. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I've definitely, because when I first got into it, like I've always like dabbled in making sketches and stuff, but um, I've most of my focus has always been on storytelling and acting, right? So like, kind of the directing, the acting portion of it, but like camera skills was never something that I was interested in, everything I knew. So literally, like, from day one of Dude Dad, I knew basically nothing about cameras. And you can kind of tell if you look at those first, like the first, I don't know, if you watch them in chronological order, you can see that my lighting and stuff starts to get better, and like things are start to get a little bit more consistent. And like, and now like I'm out there shooting like a vlog, and I'll be like, oh man, that sounds a little harsh on my face. Should I get out a diffuser? And I'm like, and I have to stop myself. I'm like, no, you don't need a diffuser for this shot. It's gonna be fine, because I think that's one of the cool things about our medium is that like we're putting out videos every single week. Everybody watches it on their phone, which is this big. So, like you want to have good quality, but you don't need to kill yourself over the quality. As long as it sounds good, looks decent, and it has a good story, that's all you need. So that's sort of part of what I've learned too, is like knowing where I can cut corners and knowing where I can't. But and then just in terms of like the content too, like it started out like a lot of vlogs, and then as my kid got older, and then the second one came, the vlogs started to become a lot harder because honestly, like it's, and I'm telling this to you right now because you're about to have your second. The second one will almost kill you. Like it will almost kill you. Like, because right now you've like got that first one down. You're like, I know fatherhood. I got this. I'm rocking this thing. And then the second one comes and you're like, oh my God, I can't breathe. Like there's no time. There's no, like, you're just from one thing to the next. You're just like a snowball, just rolling down a hill of stress, collecting more and more of it as you go. No, I mean, it sounds horrible. It's amazing though, but it's absolutely amazing. But it's just like, so the vlogs started to get harder because it was harder for me to process my thoughts. So it's easier sometimes to just go like, oh, let's just make a funny video about this funny thing that like I came up with, that like it's easier for me to process that than like what I'm actually going through as a dad sometimes.
That's fair enough. So observational type humor. And yeah, I've heard that a lot, that once you start as you start adding children, things get tougher and tougher and tougher. So
Oh my gosh.
I'm
Yeah.
definitely gonna have a lot of conversation on that in the future, because one toddler is it can be very challenging, but adding a second little infant, we'll see. And I think that for me, at any rate, that really is, to me, highlighted the value that my wife brings. She doesn't necessarily have the same skills, or is developing the same skills that I am, whether it's on social media or on video or audio and whatnot. But the effort and strength that she brings to actually helping out with our child is, she's the unsung hero of the Awesome Dad movement. I'll tell you what, you got to respect having a woman that supports you. So now, that was another question I had for you.
Do you both work, or one of you work?
So I run an insurance office by day, and I'm leading the Awesome Dad movement by night. Right. So she is a teacher, which is pretty perfect when it comes to parenting, because A, you're learning how to deal with kids regularly, and B, she has flexibility of schedule to an extent. So right now she's not a full-time teacher, but leading up until the pregnancy, she would take substitute jobs here and there, work for different like little nanny centers, mommy and me centers. So she gets a lot of flexibility. And so it works out, and it'll work out in the future too. Hopefully I'm able to segue more into building content for dads, teaming up with awesome dads like yourself. And I can segue more into that as she can segue. She can also supplement with an income in teaching.
Yeah.
So her being a teacher is really advantageous to our situation.
Yeah, that's great.
One of the things I really liked about your videos too is your wife actually gets into them and gets involved too, and adds a different, a flair. So how did she get involved? Was she just like, oh, I love what you're doing, Taylor, I got to get into, or were you like, babe, you're in?
It's exactly it. When it usually goes like this. Oh, babe, I'm shooting this thing tomorrow morning and I need you in it. Okay, yeah, just let me know what I needed to do. the next morning comes, oh, okay, so you're gonna stand here and this is what's happening and go. And that's usually about what it looks like. Like her involvement in Dude Dad is she is like the number one. She's my number one fan. She is like my support. She is my she's absolutely my what do you call it? Quality control. Like she watches everything before it goes out unless she's already sleeping, because sometimes I don't finish a video until like 2 a.m. and it needs to go up the next morning. But she watches everything, and like she's really good at being at sort of having the discernment of like, this is on message, this is not, don't put that out, that's not as funny as you think it is. So she's really helpful in that way. She's not an actor at all, but she's like, she thinks she's not. But I know if I get her in a scene with me where we're just like going back and forth, like I can get some really good stuff out of her, and that I can always edit into something that makes her look really good. Because everyone's always like, your wife is so good. I'm like, I know. And then she's like, no, I'm not. But yeah, no, she's great when it comes to this. Like a long time, or like must have been like 2 years ago, we were in a place where I had just lost my job as an apartment manager because they sold my building. My wife was getting a new job, and we were losing our apartment because we were losing the apartment manager job. So like we were losing our place of living. She was switching jobs. I no longer had a job. And then we found out we were pregnant with the second one. So
Oof.
like all this stuff hit us. I had to like figure out how to like start making income a different way and all this stuff. And like I looked at her, I'm like, babe, what are we gonna do? Like I'm so strapped for time. Like what, I have to cut something out. Like something has to go. And at that time, Dude Dad wasn't making any money. And she's like, I don't know what you're cutting out, but you're not cutting out Dude Dad. And I was like, okay, like, because we both just knew there was something there, and it wasn't big yet at all. It was still in its sort of early stages, but we had like a sort of a small community that was really into it, and it was like a very loyal following. So we're like, I don't know what it is, but you just got to keep doing that. And I'm so glad that she supported me on that, because I could have, I could have very like easily heard that story happen another way, like talking to like some friends of mine and stuff that don't have that same support system with their spouse, that they'd be like, no, you need to find a real job, or whatever. And she's absolutely not like that. So she's one of the biggest reasons that Dude Dad's still a thing.
It's important, dude. It's
Yeah.
really easy to get caught up in I need to make money now, but just being patient, seeing the big picture is important. But it's tough. It's tough when you've got bills to pay and kids on the way. It's really tough. But I can tell you what, that perseverance is what separates the men from the boys, right? That's what's gonna put you through the next level. So in your experience, so you're grinding, you're working Dude Dad, it's not making money. Was there a certain moment where it just hit, where you just did something and it started to get a lot of appeal? Or was there a moment where it just hit? How did you kind of know, okay, I can actually make money, I can actually buy diapers by creating this content? When did that moment hit?
When the checks started rolling in, basically. Like once I was making money, and like at that point I was doing set construction for money, which is all self-employed income. So it was super flexible in this like sense that like I'd get a call and be like, hey, we got a job for the next 4 days, you want it? And I'd be like, yes or no. And once it got to the point where I hadn't been doing that for like 3 months, it was like, okay, I guess Dude Dad's my job now, because I was making enough money that I wasn't taking those jobs anymore. So yeah, I mean, it came through sort of different brand deals. It came through collaborations with other large creators on brand deals. And then the ad revenue on Facebook finally kicked in, where Facebook finally started allowing monetization and move things along too. Because then now all of a sudden, like I can make money off of posting videos on Facebook, which is my biggest audience, which I could never do before. And now all of a sudden it's a thing. So yeah.
That's awesome. So the other question I think I have related to how you started working with these vendors, did someone reach out to you and say, Taylor, I love what you did with this video. Can you do something like that incorporate my business or my on-brand product? Or are you like, this company I could really benefit them. I'm going to reach out and talk to someone over there to create. How did you actually take that step?
I had a few different friends that had connections to brands, and they would link me up. And then because of my sort of portfolio of work, I was entrusted to do these brand videos, even though we hadn't worked together before, but they could see my body of work and go, oh yeah, he makes great videos. Yeah, let's do it. So that's, I've kind of got a few that way. And then, like I said, through another page, they get a lot of brand deals in, so they started pulling me in to help do some of theirs. And then they were sort of working as an agency and hiring other influencers and sort of teaming up for these bigger brand deals, because then we have a bigger reach if we both of our pages together do them. So yeah, I mean, at this point, most of them have come to me. I've just started to start reaching out to brands because I feel like it's something that I should be doing, but I've stayed busy enough that I haven't really needed to. But I know at some point, I gotta figure out how to do that, but so that I can I don't know. I mean, it doesn't seem like I haven't had the drive to do it because I haven't needed to yet, because they keep coming to me. So that's great. And I hope that doesn't sound arrogant. It's just sort of how it's been. But I know that I probably won't last forever. So I am going to have to start figuring out how to reach out.
No doubt. Well, I'll be honest, I'm of the personal opinion that the line of work that you're in and creating quality videos and creating a following of loyal fans, I think it's about to blow up. I think it's about to completely blow up and explode, because these major companies like your Coca-Colas and your Adidas or whatever, they've been funneling millions and millions, tens of millions of dollars into television advertising and newspaper advertising. And eventually they're going to wake up and realizing that teaming up with online influencers that have a loyal following is going to be more cost effective. And I think over the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to completely explode. So I think, look, personally, I would say just keep building quality product, staying consistent.
Yeah.
They're
man, exactly. And we've got a couple of big projects coming up that I've reached out to a couple of brands for that I'm really excited about. I don't think I want to say it yet because it's kind of a big deal. So I'm gonna hold off that announcement. But we've got something really big in the works that I'm really excited about.
Well, I did see your Chip Gaines challenge.
Oh, that
on the
too.
channel,
Yeah,
which
that's
is
coming up
cool.
too. Yeah. That's happening. The details are not worked out yet, but it is happening. I've been talking with their team pretty consistently, trying to work out all the details for that. It's kind of like a crazy challenge because it involves these two big playhouses, and everyone's like, well, what are we going to do with these things? We want to give them away, but if we give them away, what happens if we have to drive them to New York to drop it off? And or who sets it up? What if somebody gets tetanus? There's all this stuff to go along with it, that you have to think about. So, but we're going to make it happen soon, and it's going to be awesome. It's supposed to be coming to a head this summer. So
awesome. I'll definitely look out for that. And anyone watching or listening, that challenge is basically a treehouse build off where Mr. Taylor, Mr. Dude Dad here is going to challenge Chip Gaines from, I can't remember the show that he does. He and his wife, Fixer Upper, are going to build playhouses, and it's going to be a challenge. I think the cost limit is like $1,000 or something. So
$2,000, $2,000 all in budget. You can use shiplap and one French door. That's the rules. Yeah, it's pretty enticing. But yeah, no, Chip's been I've been a big fan of Chip's for a long time. I read his books. He's just a great man with a great heart, and you see what him and Joanna have done for Waco. You know, they basically put the town back on the map, and like they just do a lot of really cool stuff. And I just thought, man, it'd be really fun to work with them. So I just, I made this video. I put a lot of time into it. Like I pulled out all the stops and just like went for it. And he responded within one day on Twitter and was like, yeah, let's do it.
That's
So
amazing. That's amazing. And so you brought how long on average does a video take you to make from beginning conception to putting it online? How many hours would you say go into a video that you make?
It really depends on the video. Usually a couple of days. A video like that one, I probably spent, I don't know, like I wouldn't say from time of conception, because I conceived that idea months prior and then was sort of waiting for the right time to do it, because I was like, I conceived it and was like, oh, we should do it, now, but then it like got into the holidays and I was like, I don't want to do anywhere near the holidays, so we need to wait. So we waited until January when nothing was happening, and then we did the whole thing and launched it. But yeah, so I mean, a video like that, one of those big ones, I might spend like an entire sort of like 40 hours on it, like a full work week, to like get that whole thing put together and like shot and edited and wrote. Like I spent a lot of time writing that one because it had to be really punchy and quick, and a lot of like fixer upper references and stuff. And yeah, I put my heart soul into that one. So if people want to check it out, it's pinned to the top of my Facebook page. Please go check it out. I put so much work into it and I love that video. So, and if you're a fixer upper fan, you'll really appreciate it too.
I will definitely put that link both to Taylor's page and to that video in the show notes, because it's really good. It's really clever. So before we close here, I have one more question for you, Taylor.
Sure.
For any dads out there that are interested in getting into a creative online space, what advice would you give to them? I know that a lot of times when I talk to people who are interested in doing it, they say, well, I'd love to, but I'm just too late to the game, or I don't have the equipment, or I don't have time. What piece of advice would you give to someone who is thinking about creating content and kind of letting loose that expressive?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say this, like, if you don't think you have time, you probably don't. Like,
you're a dad.
It does take a lot of time, and it's like, if it's just something you want to do for fun, then you should just do it. Like, it should be about, you should be doing it because you're passionate about it, right? Don't get into it because you want to make it into a business. Like, that can be a goal, but like, and you should treat it like a business. But like, you have to have the passion for it too. Otherwise, you're going to turn the whole thing into just work, 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 work. And especially when it involves your family and your kids, like, you don't want it to feel like that. So I'd say, like, if you really want to do it, do it. If you're unsure, like, I don't know, just make a couple of things and see. Equipment, like, you can start with your friggin' cell phone. Like, these things shoot really, really good now. Like, or you can get one of these H1 microphones, $100 for this. This is what I used for 3 years until I upgraded. I just recently upgraded. I was using that for 3 years. It sounds fantastic. It cost me $100. So cost should not be an excuse. Time could definitely be an excuse. But it's just a matter of what you want to do. Like, if you really want to do it, like, don't worry that there's already a bunch of people out there, because there's nobody out there like you. Everyone has a different story to tell. Everyone's going to tell it a different way. But you just got to start making content and figure out, like, what your shtick is. And like, have you seen How to Dad? The guy from New Zealand?
Yeah. How to hold a baby was like
Yeah.
huge viral.
Exactly. So he's a great example of a guy who figured out his shtick really quickly and then figured out how to redo it over and over and over and over and over again, right? So every single one of his videos, you know what you're getting, and then he just has a new spin on it. He's a great example of, like, what you need to do when you to sort of launch into creating content is you need to like lock it down and have your shtick that you're known for. I don't know that I've like my shtick is, you know, being a dad while staying a dude, right? But I make so many different kinds of content that like I'm trying to figure out like how I tie it all in now, or like if I need to, or what that looks like, because I feel like when a new dude dad video comes up, you don't necessarily have any idea what it's going to be. You know, it's going to be high energy, you know, it's going to be positive, and it's going to be, you know, like it's going to have my sense of humor and everything, and probably have a lot of editing. But as far as like a really like simple shtick, I don't have that. And I wish I did, because like I look at guys like him and some other like creators that I like, and I'm like, man, like how easy would that be to be able to just stand in front of the camera and say witty stuff, you know? Like that would be so much less editing, you know? But like I've like even tried to make those videos, and then like I'll get it cut, and then I'm like, oh, let's throw some music in. Oh yeah, let's throw a little effects in there. Oh, let's tighten this up. And I'm like, oh man, I just I stepped away from my simple video and made it like over the top. But you know, that's sort of what I'm known for, so it is what it is.
I think it's really great playing to your strengths. I think the level, the quality is really awesome, and I definitely noticed the quality of the videos. I enjoy them. They're really, really funny. So anyone out there that's listening or watching, you definitely got to check out Dude Dad.
Thanks, Mark.
He's hilarious. I love the energy too. It's like you said, it's very positive, high energy, and I'm all about that, because it's really easy to get down on yourself when you're a dad and you're not getting a lot of sleep and you're not able to go out with your friends on Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that I see being a father is that you're going to look back in 10 years, you're going to be like, man, I miss it. I miss those simple moments where I handed my kid a French fry, right? It's those simple moments, dude. So
that one gets me every time.
That's yeah. I don't know why, but I never got emotional ever. I shouldn't say ever. I just joke with my wife that I've never cried before in my life, but I never got emotional till I had a kid. And then like there's a part in The Lion King where, you know, Mufasa dies, and it's like, oh, poor dad. I just get a little tear there, but that's what it's all about. Loving that dad life. So before we close out here, Taylor, I'm going to give you one more opportunity, just kind of plug your brand. And I would like to also know, what's one piece of dad advice that you've got for all the dads out there? What's one piece of dad advice you got?
Oh man, one piece of dad advice. I would say, just because I'm dealing with this right now with toddlers, don't react. You know, like when because they constantly like will drive you up the wall, but we have to be that calm center for them to like that calm, like we have to be the what do you call it? The tree trunk, the rock. We have to be the rock in their life, right? The thing that's not moving, the thing that's there, the thing that they can trust and always depend on, right? But the minute like they start freaking out and we react off of that, now we are sort of like throwing a tantrum with them, you know? And it's really hard to do. But that would be my thing right now. That's the thing I think of right now, because I'm dealing with it the most right now. It's extremely difficult sometimes, but
love it. Love it, Taylor. Thank you much. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
Thank you very much, Mark.
You guys definitely check out Dude Dad on Facebook. There's big things coming, and I appreciate you taking the time, Taylor.
Yeah, man. We're on YouTube and Instagram as well. Hit us up on Instagram. We give away a T-shirt every single Friday to anybody to one person who comments on any of the photos that I post that week. So check us out there too.
Legit.
Cool.
Appreciate you,
thanks
brother.
for having me, Mark. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude, I had an awesome time. Looking forward to doing it again. Looking forward to seeing more content coming out of California over there.